Welcome, Raider Nation, to Raider Personnel, your host, Raider Mack and Raider King.
Raiders in the off season after OTAs for the season. Here we go.
Yeah, man. Week 1 of training camp.
Let's
and
do
what
it.
an eventful week 1 has it been, huh? Jack Besh with the signing, and of course Christian Wilkins getting released. Oh man, not really surprised there. And then a few acquisitions, a new, a couple guys in the practice squad get acquired here, being released or waived off of other teams, and some veterans that, can show the rookies how it works. But we're going to go ahead and discuss. We'll start off with, of course, the big news, right? Christian Wilkins, his injury, not trying to get operated on again, not letting the team doctors take a look, man.
Yeah.
It'd be different if I even heard that this guy was willing to get third parties involved, third-party doctors, that is, to check out his foot and see if there was some sort of adjustment that he could make there. If he didn't want to get surgery, I understand. But the team let you go because they ain't playing that shit, man. And I like that about the Raiders. So tell me, what's your thoughts there, man, Ken?
Man, that definitely hurts just because after last year, what we went through with the injury on the line, losing Kuntz. But they're not playing around, man. And in the end, it's like if he's going to be gone for the season or for most of the season, he's still not going to be in good shape. If we're doing a playoff run, we don't know how he's going to be doing if we make the playoffs, of course. And that means we'll be waiting for him to come back next season. But if he's not getting the surgery and it doesn't heal correctly, and then, he goes through the whole season, he's like, decides I want to get surgery at the end of the season. Now we're sacrificing the third season. So it's like, now we need people right now. So, it sucks because I had this big image of how our defensive line could have been.
Yeah.
And I definitely see him being like a big part of it. But once I saw that video of him like doing the Russian dance, all in that supposedly broken, not healing, I was what's going on? Is this guy lying about the pain, lying about it healing? Like you said, not letting the doctors see it. That's kind of shady. So, fine, get rid of it. And I think what makes it a lot easier to take is like it wasn't just Vitek and it wasn't just Pete. It was like all the coaches. It was a bunch of players, our players. Like, it's like if the players are saying it, then I'm pretty sure they're the leaders of the team that was saying it. Because you just hear that from a rookie. If the leaders of the team say it, then you're like, okay, there's some weight to this. We're trying to build this new image, this new culture. We can't just let anybody walk in here and, take advantage of our money. If you're going to come here and get your money, you better be Max Crosby. That's how it is. You got to work your tail off, work your rehab to the best of your abilities because, it's a short career. You got to take advantage of it,
Yeah, for sure, man. And the first thing, when I heard the news, first thing that popped into my head was Charles Woodson.
Just trying to figure out why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I was pissed.
Nice, yeah. So it's tough. But what can we do? So we just hope Kuntz makes up. I mean, we drafted a bunch of defensive tackles. We got in a few guys, the new guys that we got off the waiver wire. New Raiders, welcome. So let's see what it goes. I keep hearing the rave about JJ because they keep saying that the potential in him looks amazing. He's working hard. He's trying to bust his butt. So we got some players who want to get into it. We still got Adam Butler. Maybe it's just time to take a step forward. And then for me, honestly, man, I'm rooting for Tyree Wilson, man. I remember that first year with AP, he looked really good as a defensive tackle, as a pass rusher. Let's give him a chance, man. Let's put him in there. Depending what goes on with Snowden, I think Snowden has some issues going on. He might be out. If we can get at the end there, and if Tyree Wilson can do his thing as the 3 technique, maybe that could be a surge in his career. Because he needs to show something. And if he can come in and be that defensive tackle that Wilkins was supposed to be, or at least, the pass rush section, I'll be happy because he's strong. He's strong like a defensive tackle. So it's all just the techniques.
Yeah, no, it's a next man step up. That's the whole model now at this point.
That's
man.
Pete Carroll.
I don't think you can replace. Everybody's talking about Jonah Laulu.
Yeah.
Who was praised this week by the coach. And was just saying, Laulu, sorry. And, 2024 picked him up off of waivers last year. And he played all 17 games, starting 7 games.
Yeah.
Had about maybe 35 tackles and a sack with 3
Yeah.
tackles for loss.
Yeah.
It's a decent stats there, the kid,
Yeah.
and he's got room to grow. So, and he's a
Exactly.
Las Vegas native. He got something to play for there. So,
Exactly. Yeah. And defensive tackles, man, it's not about sacks with them. Like all the great defense. Aaron
Yeah.
Donald was an anomaly. That man was a monster.
Yeah.
Him, the Warren Saps. Those guys aren't out there. 6 to 8 tackles is really good for a defensive tackle.
Right.
Sacks. I mean, so it's if you get 1 for starting 7 games, average 2 for 14 games. If you're not like a starting tackle, that's about average. 3 to 4 for a defensive tackle, just there. So let's see what he can do for more time. You know what I'm saying? Like Adam Butler too. Let's see what these guys do with different scheme, different coach. Pete Carroll's known for this.
Yeah.
This is defense. Patrick Graham, he's really good himself too. So, let's see what that does for us and make those changes. Like I like it.
No, and it's going to be a defensive line by committee. It seems like. I mean, you got Lecky Fotu. Adam Butler can't be playing every down. You know what I mean? So he's going to get some rest. Lecky Fotu's going to step up in there. Tyree's going to have to jump in there. And he's going to he's got to give it his best shit, man, because we all been, first round pick, has been a bust up until now, at least last year, 3 sacks, I think it was, and some pretty decent plays. He's doing his part,
exactly.
I feel. At least last year he did.
Definitely. I mean, it's just he had the benefits of OTA this season and all that stuff. He's actually healthy. I'm not trying to make excuses for the guy, but whenever you're that young of a player, you need the OTAs, you need all that practice, and he was literally injured for all of that. So it's like I want to give the chance, and like I said, if he can be that guy, if he can be that guy in the middle for us, that that takes away what we lose with
the
Christian
great
Wilkins
wingspan and all that, man. So
yeah.
I mean, he's got.
And in the end, I think.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, those monster arms. Yeah, but in the end, I used. I was just gonna say he was gonna get playing time no matter what because Wilkinson was on the PUP list, so he was gonna be out for at least at least 4 weeks or something like that. He was gonna get it, but now he can be like, okay, there's a starting position available. Let me show them what they got. I'm excited.
No, that's a facts. That's facts. And they also picked up, Keandre Coburn, right? It was kind of like picked off a waiver from Tennessee. 14 starts last year, so he actually started. But up until then, he was mostly a practice squad guy, and for like 2 years. So as he was drafted by Kansas City, 194th in the 2023 draft. So, I mean, this guy, he's known for his agility as well. He's known for this. He's not going to replace at all Christian Wilkins, but that's another body that you can prep these youngins, Tonka and JJ. Hopefully, because, you don't hear too much about them other than what the coaches mentioned and what the other players mentioned, which is all I've heard was Jonah Laulu. And then, of course, those who have the experience, Adam Butler and Fotu, right? So, definitely, man. That's what I want to see. This guy who they just acquired come in for a purpose and hopefully just, make that competition training camp as well that Pete keeps talking about. That's what it's all about right now. That's all I hear as well. This is about competition. You guys got to come in here and do your work, and whoever wins that gets the starting job. So,
I mean, and then the defensive. It's so open right now. The whole D line, it's open. The defensive tackles are open. I mean, I'm sure Crosby is safe, and I'm pretty sure Kuntz is safe. So it's all the defensive tackles 1 and 2 are open for competitions. So it's open season. Before it was like, okay, Christian Wilkinson, and who's going to be the second one? Now it's like who's going to be the first one and who's going to be the second one. So now there's 2 opportunities.
Right.
And then you got your typical, pass rushing D tackles that aren't the starters. Maybe that's Tyree Wilson's side right there. And we'll go from there. So, we got the pieces. We just, like you said, just max man up. We had Pete Carroll, the new guy, Calderon. He's coming from the Chiefs system with their defensive coordinator over there. And he's really good. So, now it's coming to Pete Carroll. So now he's had 2 really good defensive coordinator coaches. And you see what he can do. How many times this happened in the league where, nobody comes out of just blooms up and just because the right coach or the right system. Next, you know, this guy went from 2 to 3 sacks to 5 to 6 to 7. So,
Yeah.
you know, let's just hope one of that happens. Somebody, you know, step up. Still
Yeah,
hoping
no,
for
that's what it's
Wilson.
gonna come down to, man. Yeah, at least give it. Let Max do all the sacks and all the stats over there and just help him out. But and on top of that, man, they acquired a couple of guys, Philip Dorsett, you know, Jamal Adams, you know, these guys who have some veteran history there. They got some time in the NFL, man. And I mean, I don't see them starting, but I see them for sure helping out the youngins. You know what I mean? Jamal being moved to linebacker, right? And then we got tons of fucking linebackers right now.
Linebacker hybrid. Yeah. The one part position that was like our weakest or lowest amount. Now it's like we just have too many players.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. Our weakest because I mean, Landon Roberts, right? Yeah, he's a Super Bowl champ, but the guy's like, you know, 8-10 years almost in the league, I guess.
Yeah, he's definitely up there.
Yeah, he's a vet. So, you know, he's got some time. Pratt, you know, yeah, he had some injuries and not a lot of playing time, I think, a couple years ago.
Right, exactly.
And then, so those being the starters, right? Those are the guys that are for sure set to start and play almost every down. And then you got the young and Cody Lindenberg, who's kind of stood out in the OTAs and things like that. But yeah, man, I see the linebackers as still kind of iffy to me. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something to worry about. I mean, Amari Gaynor, I heard some really good things about him pass rushing. Yeah, apparently he's a good blitzer for a linebacker, so he looks like he might have a little, you know, space in our defense. And then Devin White, I think Devin White was with Tampa Bay, you know, as a linebacker, so he's still there. Jalen Walker, I believe he's still young and just, you know, it looked like he had potential, I believe, coming out of college. It just didn't click. So let's see if that opens up. Jalen Smith, you know, he was supposed to be really good, and I think he started off really good. Maybe got injured and then just fell off. I think it was with the Cowboys. And then the wild card Jamal Adams, that was a pretty good pickup, man. I think it's definitely for locker room, you know, culture building, you know, teaching the defense to the safeties and the linebackers. But yeah, that man's will be playing up the line. He's gonna be hitting people in the mouth hard. So yeah, I'm excited for him. I could see that being our nickel package, Pratt and Adams, or Robert and Adams, and then the three corners out there. Yeah, so I could see something like that because Jamal Adams is gonna be faster than a linebacker that hits like a linebacker. So pretty excited about that. Yeah, like I said, but he's not gonna be like some game changer. But those are the guys you want in your locker room, the ones that can either teach the defense or versatile. You know, that could play a part that you need. And that's exciting.
Yeah, that's you bring in people, some vets like that. That's what I would think too as well. So
we need that.
You know, I mean, Jamal definitely hasn't. You know, I don't know what his playing time was with the Lions, but I mean, shit, they got to the playoffs, right? So
they definitely got to the playoffs.
Didn't do well against the Rams over there, but
right,
you know,
yeah,
that's it.
Definitely, yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the only part that I see as our weakness would be the coverage part of our linebackers. You know, it's same as last year. You know, Spillane and Diablo. You know, they had their issues with coverage. You know, right now we have the same thing.
Right.
You know, it's not going to get better with Jamal Adams. He was always a box safety kind of guy. So, you know, we'll see how these go. Amar Gaines, more of a blitzer. You know, let's see if any of these can be really good coverage linebackers. You know, at least in the zone. You know, you can't blame a linebacker playing man with any receiver or running back or even a tight end. You know, it's tough, you know, to compete with those players. But yeah, if we can get somebody that's just smart enough to like not be out of place during a coverage, you know, that would really
exactly. No more Jack Jones BS over here, yeah.
Right, exactly. Let's not be over aggressive, jumping every pop.
Yeah, man, for real, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm just hoping, you know, Porter comes out on top as well, helps out the team. You know, that way, you know, you got JB and Porter, and then Stokes to occasionally relieve because, you know, Stokes has through his career, right? He's been injured and kind of inconsistent, I should say.
Exactly,
So that's what scares me about Stokes, and how you would play him because you can't really play him in the slot, right? You can't play him
Right. He has
he's
to
more
be
like
on the outside.
a zone guy.
Exactly. Yeah, he's probably gonna be more of a 2 guy than a 1. But he's probably gonna play as the 1 because we don't have anybody as a 1 yet. You know, Porter's badass, but you can't put him as a 1 yet. You know,
Yeah,
you
not
gotta
yet.
let him. Yeah, nah. There's some monsters in the NFL right now.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and what's his name? Demario Richardson. There's a place for him too. You know, there's a lot of receivers that are small, like Xavier Worthy. You know, from the Chiefs. You know, it's not always good to have a big corner
That
on
dude's
him.
fast, though, yeah.
Shake him, yeah. So you know, we need people like that too. So let's see how it goes, man. I'm excited for this defense. I mean, I think a lot of us are excited, like not just you and me. Like just watching a lot of these other folks' podcasts and the Raider shows. Like, yeah, there's a lot of excited people. So, and it's a different excitement. Like we're always excited every year, like, oh, it's gonna be it, but this time is like. It's like a confidence excitement. Like, damn, okay, this is new. This is different. This is what it feels like to be like part of a winning culture or trying to be a winning culture.
Yeah, a franchise that's reviving, and that's for sure. That's that's
man.
a fact. And
all I hear is the training.
Props, all the pundits are saying that we've definitely improved. So I'm excited. It makes it exciting to watch.
Man,
Of course, the news of Christian is not a great one, but. You know, just brought back a lot of bad feelings and a lot of like, oh man, you know, the same shit. An old player, a good player that plays us dirty and takes the money and runs, kind of bullshit. Antonio Brown.
And he had that boring sap feel. That's why I was so excited about our defense, man. But you know, in the end, he wasn't going to be there in the beginning. So it's like, you know, what are we losing really? You know what I'm saying? It's like, is it going to be, that's the other thing, is it going to be another Coon situation where they're going to be like, look, you're going to be back at the end of the season when we don't need you. Just sit out. So, you know, and then bam, that's another $100 million.
I agree with the decision. It's a definitely understandable decision, especially when, and you know, I mean, if the Raiders wanted to, I mean, but it's not their duty to, is get a third opinion, right? I mean, if of course, if the player doesn't want to get surgery after already getting surgery, that's understandable as well. But why not get a third party decision? Like, I don't want your doctors, to come and give me what they decide out. We're gonna get somebody else that's
exactly,
or you know, get involved pretty much. So
exactly.
But
man.
I mean, you know, it is what it is. We're moving forward, as the Raiders say, and we're gonna go ahead and find that you know, that special player, that's the unicorn.
Yeah, the only unicorn we got is Brock Bowers.
That's right. That's right. Brock Bowers. Don't forget those players. Don't forget the rest of the team for crying out loud.
The unicorn and his dragons.
Thanks for watching. Raider personnel.
Raiders.
Leave a comment. Leave a like.